Okay, so I'm here with Andre. He's the part of the filmmaking team behind Treurgrond. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
No, that's perfect.
Okay. An amazing, hard-hitting film, and in fact, part of your production house as well. This is you make your other projects on the go, and I'm sort of answering you sort of questions. But what I'm trying to say is, if you could tell us what this film. And welcome, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
Amsterdam. So yeah, if you could just, I know the films, but if you could just, for the benefit of the audience,
Sure.
synopsis.
I think, if you look at the current situation in South Africa today, there's a big problem with farm murders per se in our country. And it's not a specific target audience, if I can say that, that it's a black on white thing. That it's not that.
It's
murders. It's farm murders. The farmer will be murdered, plus their staff will be murdered. And it's becoming such an epidemic in our country and such a problem that we decided to make a movie just to show people of the world what the problem would be if one farmer is murdered on his farm, what the effects would be on a community, for the staff living there, and shortage of food, in terms of what's happening. So that was really born out of that, and then obviously it is a very personal film to us and my children, because my mom was murdered, and we decided to make this movie and dedicate this in honor of my mother.
Right, and that's how the sort of the premise of the story came about, I suppose, because I know we've spoken a couple of times about the land grab situation.
Correct.
Which became a huge problem in Zimbabwe, but I think is now, we're not really going off piece here, because this is obviously important, but this is now happening in South Africa as well, I believe.
Correct, yeah. Interesting, when we shot the movie, it was about 2 years ago, one of the drivers of the storyline of the movie was a land grab, where the character actually went to the farmer and said, I want your land because this land belongs to us. And the foreman of the farm, that was his son, which is now an attorney in the story.
Yeah.
He said to his son, but why are you doing this? These people looked after us. They send you to university. They why would you do this now? And he says, well, that's the right thing to do. It's the land grab. So there's various. I guess, Steve, it's which side of the fence you sit on is what's true and what's right for you. For them, it's the right thing to do. For the white farmers, it's not the right thing to do, because they've been farming there for 70, 100, 150 years on that farm.
Yeah, now the land's been taken.
And now the land's going to be taken without compensation.
There is no compensation?
There's no and that's the big burden, or the big issue of this whole thing, is it's without compensation. They're just going to take the land, and you've got to move off. And
so they'll give you what, a year's notice or whatever it is?
If that long, yes. Apparently now, whilst I was in Amsterdam, there's now a list gone through that I know a company, AfriForum in South Africa, are looking at, and apparently there's 136 farms identified, of which they're going to actually do the land grab within the next few months.
But it's been an unmitigated disaster in Zimbabwe, isn't it?
I think in the rest of Africa, because that happened, but more specifically in Zimbabwe, because that's our neighboring country as well. And the fact that our existing government, the ANC, hadn't learned anything from the Zimbabwe grabs, is mind-boggling, because it crashed the industry in Zimbabwe. The farming industry has just gone down the drain. They've got to import all their food. So they should have learned and see, but it didn't work. There must be another way of doing this, and there must be a solution.
I'm really surprised there's no compensation, I suppose, but I guess their argument would be, well, as far as we're concerned, you're living on the land illegally or whatever, so, but even so, it's a hard way to have to take that on board. Yeah,
if you consider that some of the farmers most probably lived on that farm for in excess of 150 years, through their generations, and what they've put into the ground and what they've worked into the ground, the structures that they built, just to take that structures and all and a movable property, going with that, is going to be tough on. It's going to be tough on the farmers, and majority of them most probably are 50 years plus, and to start a new life where, without any money, because they're going to lose everything.
And give us an idea of when you were making this film, because you already knew that you wanted to write a story based around a farm murder, but how did you structure it to become this actual film? Because I know you've already got the idea, but then you've got to put this idea into practice, haven't you?
Yeah, it was interesting. We started off and we got a writer in and we gave him the idea of the farm murders and that they've got to drive that. The script ended up in a human trafficking script, and we said, no, that's not what we wanted. We don't want this.
Oh, right, okay.
So we
misread the brief.
Exactly, and so we started again, and we actually gave it to a young student in university, a lady. She was Tarantiniel Prinsloo, and she was, I think, 22 at that time.
So how did you come across her?
No, we wanted to do some, because our native language is Afrikaans, so we wanted to maybe get the brief better by doing it in English, and we asked her to translate it. And she came to us and she said, but give me a stab at it. I want to write a story because I love it. And I said to my partner, my CEO, is my son, I said to him, Sam, she's 22, what? She doesn't understand farming. She doesn't understand life. And she then wrote the script.
But you had nothing to lose, though, did you?
No. But she wrote the script, and we were blown away. And we actually gave it to some farmers to read through to get the authenticity of the story and things. And with our research,
had she nailed it then?
I don't know. And she just did it. And subsequently, she wrote 3 scripts for us, which we made into theatrical movies. She's just that brilliant.
That annoyingly talented.
Absolutely, yeah.
So she's actually not just done this, she took 2 other scripts as well?
She did. As a matter of fact, she did Mignon Mossie van Dijk for us. She did Trouwvoete, and she also did The Lullaby. We had to change it a bit, which was a horror movie. So from doing a drama like Treurgrond into a lullaby, she's that talented. And she's just...
How lucky were you?
Oh, very... And she's pretty.
Oh, okay,
No, she's just a beautiful, beautiful girl.
And... So you'd given her the brief. She's come back with a story, which is obviously expanded upon and made much bigger.
Yeah.
So what did she add? Give us a flavour of what she added to the brief you gave her. How she changed it. I don't know if it's changed.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of research on the farm murders and how bad the farm murders are. It's very violent. It's if you really look at what's happening in a, I don't want to call it the standard murder, but
a typical murder.
A typical murder, but
typical murder,
they pour fuel into the people's mouths and they set them alight, and they explode. They will burn, cook babies in ovens,
No.
So it's that bad. So what Taryn did is she brought a very humane element to the whole story, of showing a very brutal murder, but in such a manner that everybody can actually watch the movie.
Yeah, it's hidden, isn't it?
It's very hidden.
Yeah.
But it's still very provoking. It really touches you. It hits
it's
hard.
not visceral, but you know what's going on.
You know exactly what's going on, and once you see, if you look at the structure and how and where it's going, you get your mind can run free with us. On what it is. And whoever watches it, let your mind run free, because that's the truth. It is, they chop off feet, they chop off hands, they gouge out eyes, it's... The problem with a farm murder is there's nobody close by to call.
No, you're in the middle of nowhere, aren't you?
In the middle of nowhere, so they've got all the time of the day or night to just do and
how are farmers protecting themselves?
Well,
guns probably.
Well, guns. It looks like Fort Knox. If you now go to a farm in South Africa, traditionally, it's fencing, it's wires, it's walkie-talkies, it's CCTV cameras, it's dogs. Some of our farmers has got lions patrolling the areas. They'll have
dogs. So they got attack dogs too.
They've got massive dogs with
which you wouldn't want to take on.
Exactly, with manes. So, but today the lions are targets. They're killing our wildlife for the paws of the lions, for the teeth of the lions. They're cutting the rhino horns. They're killing the elephants for the tusks. So it's just it's tough. It's but the farming is under siege. There's no doubt about it.
I wasn't. As Brits, we're not entirely aware that this is going on, how horrific it is. But when did this problem start? It's probably been a problem for years, but it's really taken off.
It's been escalating the last 10 years.
Right.
Without any doubt, there's some statistics. I mean, the last 2 years especially is very bad now. The reality of the matter is I came to Amsterdam to your film festival. I arrived here on Friday. Today is what, kind of Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
And there was 5 farm murders in this period.
So like one a day?
It's kind of like one a day, which is horrific.
But what's driving it? Poverty, or
it's poverty in some cases. It's robbery gone wrong. It's hatred. There's racism. So there's a lot of factors around this that exist, and nobody. I think everybody is too scared to pinpoint and say this is the reason, because right now the government is not making the farm murders in a priority murder. It's just to them. It's just a murder. They will not say they don't record it as a farm murder. They just record it as a murder.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 specific organizations back home, AfriForum and the TLU, which actually records the murders and every detail of it, to keep a track record and go back to the government and fight the government and say, but this is a real big problem, Forget that it's people also. It's a massive problem for South Africa's agricultural, life. Going forward. There's no future for agriculture because nobody wants to be farmers anymore.
Yeah, we want to be a farmer. I wouldn't.
It's
and their children won't. Whether we don't know why.
Exactly. It's
do something on the internet or whatever.
The truth of the matter is, we've been to a few farms on our when we did the movie. But even now, it's so lovely to go to farms because it's quiet, and it's it's freedom. There's cattle. There's beautiful. And I think.
But they sound like they're under siege.
But they are. So we get so scared at night because it's quiet, and when you hear a sound, I mean, everybody is up and pistol in hand. Okay, what the hell is going on? Go to the camera, see what's cooking, and it's only a branch, so it's okay. Okay, let's go back to bed, kind of thing. It's you lock the doors. At night, whereas in a farm you're supposed to have your doors open because that's what you want, the freedom, give me land,
so is
lots
it legal
of land.
Can you have guns?
Yes,
guns?
licensed guns you can have, and but your problem is also understand that a gun must be in a safe. So by
the time you get to the safe,
by the time you
I'll have it under the bed.
Yeah, the attacker's in the house.
I'll have it under the bed, wouldn't you?
The problem is now they kill you. That you got to open, or they force you to open the safe before they kill you. They steal the guns and then they kill you. So it's. But the reality of this movie is still it's a fictional, based on very true stories and reality, and I think it's something that people not living in South Africa must see to understand the problem of being a farmer in our country.
And where are you based? At Johannesburg?
Centurion, Pretoria. It's between Johannesburg and Pretoria.
It's
a suburb in. It's a big town, city town in between Pretoria and Johannesburg.
Right. Okay. So, can you give me an idea of what the film industry is like in South Africa? Is there much support? Is it fledgling or is it burgeoning?
It's a bit of everything, I guess. Like we've got great assistance from the government.
Right, so there is some assistance.
There's very
tax
good
breaks.
Well, no hard cash. Where they actually give you a rebate. There is a tax break. There's 2 tax incentives.
Yeah.
But the big one is from our Department of Trade and Industry, which is actually helping the industry so much by giving them a rebate on qualified projects.
Yeah.
And so that's great. And then we've got 2 other institutions, the IDC and the National Video and Film and Video Foundation, which assists quite a lot. So from a government point of view, they're really assisting the filmmakers to make films. Specific niche films like Afrikaans, we've got 11 official languages in South Africa. So if you want to make an official language movie, it's tough for cinema because cinemas are not freely accessible to all the people. The rural areas, they can't get to cinema. So that becomes a problem. If you make an Afrikaans movie, it's very seldom that it will break through and make a good money if it wasn't for the help of the government. But the cinema industry is still doing well, you know. I mean, we get all the foreign films, the James Bonds, the Star Wars and everything, and we're competing against them all the time.
Yes, we all are.
Yeah, so the industry is not doing too bad. Our TV stations are supporting buying movies as well, you know. So that's great. So all in all, I'm quite comfortable where we are at in South Africa. I mean, we've got the best technical people. Really in the world, because we've got a lot of
and much cheaper than shooting in Europe.
Oh
or
yes,
the US, of course.
yeah, and because we've got a lot of international movies being made in South Africa because of the rebate system, of the scheme, you know. So obviously our technical staff are learning a lot from the Hollywoods of the world, from the UK, you know, from Europe, and we've got the best equipment, we've got the best weather, we've got the best, you know. So, and what's nice is you could have a California and a massive desert within 6 hours drive, you know, and weather is predictable. That's so nice. You know, you got a 4-day outdoor shooting. You'll have 4 days, and we can still barbecue in the meantime, you know, which is quite nice.
No, I've not been there. I think I told you my mother's from Cape Town, and I've never actually visited the country. One of my sisters was born there. My father's based in the Royal Navy, but I do remember him saying it was like the most beautiful country he's ever been to, you know. It
is, especially Cape Town. I mean, everybody falls in love with Cape Town because it's just so beautiful. I mean, the ocean is there, the Table Mountain, the great wine vineyards, you know, and wine tastings, and there's so much to see and do in Cape Town. But then you've got the Kruger Park, which, you know, is a different bushveld with all the animals, you know, most probably some of the best game viewing in the world. And you've got the bushveld, and as I say, you've got the deserts, you know, and you've got these small quaint towns up high in the mountain with a mist. And we did a movie called Lullaby, you know, which is a horror.
This is your horror. This is the one you showed me the other day, because I was going to move on to this. Actually.
Yes. We shot that in a place called Kaapse Hoop, which was an old gold mine town in the 1800s, and beautiful. You know, it's high up in the hills, and this mist just comes in, and it's perfect for horrors. It's just so lovely.
Hence the look of the film.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, like I say, you showed me excuse me, a trailer for 2 of your films. So how is things generally with the productions you're producing? And obviously you've got Treurgrond and Lullaby, but in a general sense, how are things going with you? Because obviously you're trying to get more of an international feel,
sure.
And so on and so forth.
We're busy in post-production as we speak with a movie called The Furnace. And there we've got 2 international actors from US and Brazil that does the lead. Jamie Bernadette is in the lead from the US. Yep. And it's a story about this big race in the park, you know, with wild animals. You know, so I think it's 450-kilometer race in 14 days. You've got your backpack, that's it. You've got 14 days to finish the race.
That sounds like hard work to me.
It is hard work, and I mean, you encounter lions and elephants and leopards and snakes and scorpions.
In 14 days?
In 14 days.
Just quick math here, that means you've got to do like 30 kilometres a day?
Correct, in the bushveld, you know, with thorn trees.
Give me a car, yeah.
And snakes and everything.
Motorbike, yeah.
You know, so we're busy with the post-production that. We've already got a distribution on the movie. You know, through the US. As a matter of fact, we've got a premiere event in Texas, you know, on the movie, which we're very proud to say.
That's fantastic.
With our distributors that side, and then we're starting with another horror in October, when you know, September, October, which we want to have finished by July, October next year, you know, between that period, and so we try to do 3 to 4 productions a year. Yeah, so
because filmmaking is a long, I don't say tedious, but it's a long process.
It's a long process. That's why, you know. But fortunately, once it's in post-production, I mean, you can actually start with production on the other one, because you know, we don't do our own editing ourselves.
No,
you know, it's all hired out, outsourced, and you know, with people that we've been working with. So,
have you not thought? I guess you must have thought. That's a stupid question, but I suppose you looked at the economics, and there's obviously a reason you outsource it. I mean, you could easily have it in-house, and then, because some filmmakers I speak to, particularly ones overseas, they've got more and more involved in this one-stop shop in terms of the production house they can offer does everything.
Yes, it is possible, but I mean, the problem is if you do 3 to 4 movies, you know, it's not a viable proposition.
Oh yeah, because they won't be permanently
employed. You know, you got to. But so we tend to work with people that kind of have their own businesses, and we give them 4 movies a year, so that keeps them busy for the whole year.
So they're loving that,
you know, and they're loving that. I mean, our director, for instance, Daryl Root, which is an Oscar-nominated director for Sarafina yesterday.
Was he an Oscar?
For yesterday, and he did Sarafina, and he did Patrick, a movie with Fatherhood with Patrick Swayze, and so he's been around the block. Now, we trust Daryl as a director. Yeah, there's one thing that we believe, and that's just personal. I can't be actor, director, producer, writer, all in one. It's
impossible. I couldn't agree more. I think that road leads to danger.
You're too close to everything.
Too close to everything. And you're spinning a lot of plates. And it amazes me when you set an editor, an actor, a director, because those plates can easily drop, can't they?
Yeah, and I personally think because you're too close. You're not seeing. There's a saying, you don't see the wood for the trees, or so I firmly believe, let's surround ourselves with people better than ourselves in professional positions, and let them do it for us.
Yeah, definitely.
So we give Daryl the brief, Daryl Root, the director, and say, Daryl, this is what we would like to see. You now go ahead and do it. And he actually brings us the final, the director's cut at the end, and says, okay, take it apart, and that's the first time we actually look at it. We look at the dailies, obviously, and
again with the internet, you can do that, can't you?
And I mean, we on set as a producer, we're on set every day.
You are. You are there.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, no, because some aren't, are they?
No, that's one thing that we will do, is to be on set every day, and the reason for that is, because we're a partner with the director. We don't tell him what to do,
no,
and how to do it.
But let's be honest, it's your money, isn't it?
Sure.
So of course.
But then we also know what shots he had, for the day. We could say, gee, Daryl, but you remember that rain scene? I kind of like that. And then, we've got that take on take number so and so and so. Let's look at it. And so that's kind of. But once they start editing, we leave them. I mean, when we look at the post in terms of our sign design, we try to do all the music original score. And we've got a guy that's really very, very good, and we'll give him the references and everything. And only at the end will we look at the score, and listen to the score once it's put together, and then we'll say, wow, this works for us, or doesn't. Let's
hope it is.
Because time's running out always.
Yeah.
But I think if the brief is good enough and you trust the people, I think if you trust people and let them just do their thing, you're getting a better result than sitting behind them and looking over their shoulder and say, but shouldn't you put that violin a bit louder there? Or, it just doesn't work like that.
Definitely, I think, you've got to trust the people, because otherwise you wouldn't have hired them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's an obvious thing. I mean, it sounds like obviously the team you have is brilliant. Yeah,
and we've been working for 10 years together, so, and to get back, so we can start with pre-production. Daryl's already busy working on pre-production for our next horror, looking at locations, etc., etc. Whilst the editing process of the previous one is on the go, we're busy polishing now the script for next year, so getting that. So it's kind of, the ball is rolling. It's happening.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, and thanks for such a great festival as well. It's really a great festival.
Oh, thank you. That's
appreciate it.